Ethical dilemmas. Ethicists love to pose unsolvable dilemmas in order to illustrate different ethical principles. I'm sure you know the kind of thing. A ship sinks and 11 people survive, but the lifeboat only has room for 10 people. Which of the 11 people of various ages, levels of health, education, and so on, which of them do you decide to leave to drown? Or you may know the classic trolley bus dilemma. You're standing by a trolley track and see a runaway trolley heading toward 5 people tied to the track. You have the ability to pull a lever to divert the trolley onto another track, but there's one person tied to that track. So the ethical question is, do you pull the lever, sacrificing one person to save 5, or do you do nothing, allowing the trolley to kill 5 people, but avoiding direct involvement? Of course, you can spice this up by assigning different qualities to the different people. Is it always the right thing to save the 5 people and let the one person to die? But what if the 5 people are all elderly with dementia while the one person is young and healthy? But then what if they also happen to be a serial killer? Look, it's easy to pile on the difficulties. There are some professions where such life and death decisions are made all the time. The medical profession and the military profession, for example. They have protocols and systems in place which, as far as possible, seek to relieve the individual of the sole responsibility for making these decisions. Follow the protocols. What these dilemmas frequently require us to do is to find some way to evaluate the relative worth or value of different people. But how do you actually weigh up the various qualities or characteristics of these people? Can it even be done? Or is the reality simply that there's no clear-cut solution to these dilemmas? Whatever we decide to do will be both the right and the wrong decision at some level or according to some measures. There's not even a simple equation such as saving 5 people is better than saving one person, because we still have to weigh the value of these people. Isn't there already something morally dubious even about that very process? Certainly something that makes us feel uncomfortable. I suspect in the real world we don't make decisions in this way unless we're trained to do so, like the paramedic or the military professional, especially when we're faced with split-second decisions. I suspect instinct may step in sometimes, or maybe paralysis. We simply do nothing. At other times, I think our decision is not guided by ethical principles at all. Let's return to the trolley dilemma again. This time there's only one person on each track. One of them is a skilled heart surgeon, the other is a child. It's your child. Does it matter who is tied to the other track? Does it matter how many people are tied to the other track? Don't you save your child anyway? This is not a decision based on ethics. This may not even be the right decision according to several ethical principles. But you know it's the right thing to do anyway, don't you? Some things outweigh even ethics, even objective morality, whatever that might be. Like all of the ethical dilemmas, this is a contrived situation, but I think it illustrates that many of our ethical decisions are not based on pseudo-scientific equations, this is better than that. They're based on other things, emotional connections, irrational fears, personal prejudices, and we can never be entirely sure that we're acting out of the right motives. The fact here is that we can never actually be sure of the outcome of our actions. No matter what we might be able to predict, there are always going to be unforeseen circumstances. We may weigh all the options, come to the right decision based on certain criteria, but we can never take all of the factors into account. There will always be room for the unforeseen. Consider the Hitler dilemma, for instance. What if we could go back in time and kill Hitler before he became the man that he did become? But how do we know that something even worse might not happen? We can't be sure. Can we take the risk? Should we take the risk? So maybe saving your child is as good a decision as any. At least you know what that will mean for you and for them. Maybe we decide for small goods, small, knowable, achievable goods, rather than big, abstract goods, which are only possible goods anyway. Maybe most of the time, that's what we do. There probably was a time in our prehistoric past when that was all we needed to do, when we lived in small communities where outcomes were directly and quickly measurable and achievable. Maybe that's the kind of situation we've evolved to deal with. And maybe in that situation, saving your child is 9 times out of 10 the right thing to do. Instinct correlated with morality. But still, these ethical dilemmas can be fun to play around with. They can reveal some of your deepest values and beliefs. They can reveal your prejudices and biases too. But when push comes to shove, you'll probably save your own child.